Alright guys, thank you for checking out Stormtopia.com and the Stormtopia.com Facebook page for daily weather update right now. Current temperatures across the United States as of Friday evening: warm in the south with warm tropical air mass, cold in the north with an Arctic air mass from James Bay, Hudson Bay, all the way back into the northeast. We just barely made it to the melting/freezing point today across portions of the northeast, allowing for some melting of the decent 20 to 30 inch snowpack that we have in spots. Now, there's certainly a fair amount of hype going around about the little clipper that's going to track like this, and then it comes in, and then it's going to produce like a light 1 to 3 inches for the northeast. But I'm not so excited about that. Now let's just take a look at why. Here we have the NAM model precipitation, okay, out to 36 hours, which is well after the storm hits. Well, if you want to call it that. You can see what we're talking about here is a quarter to a half inch of QPF from the Arrowhead down to about Erie. And I think that these areas have the potential for 3 to 6 inches from Wisconsin, parts of western Michigan, Grand Rapids to Milwaukee, Rhinelander, places like International Falls and Duluth. 3 to 6 inches, not out of the question. But look how it just really dries it up here once you get into the eastern seaboard for the megalopolis. And that's essentially the scenario I'm sticking with. I don't see, I mean, you want to get excited about the storm, then you have to get excited about 1/100th of an inch of snow here for the eastern United States. You want to get excited about 1/100th of an inch of snow? Go ahead, be my guest. But you see the HPC snow probability. I can show you what we're talking about here, which is this is the probability of greater than an inch of snow by Saturday 9:10 p.m. and you can see what we're talking about here with the essential. I mean, by then, you know, the snow's going to be wrapped up for the Arrowhead, so it's not really showing much. But here's where you see a 95% chance of an inch, whoa, across the Midwest. And then look how you just really dry that thing up in Pennsylvania. People from New Jersey are going to hate people from Pennsylvania because they just steal the storm. They just destroy the storm. And look at that, not even less than a 1% chance of snow in the megalopolis. Admittedly, when it goes into the Atlantic, it could run into some more moisture, so I wouldn't rule out the chance of a coating to maybe an inch across parts of southern New England tomorrow. And you look to 2 inches, and you can just see how that just stops right around State College. You're gonna talk about the storm stopping in State College. You're like, what? Storm New Jersey? No. Okay, there won't be anything good in New Jersey. Let's just keep that clear. Now, our next focus shifts to the storm possible early next week. Now, essentially, the dynamics at play of the storm are the following. We've got a high here, right? I know, you gotta love my H's. High goes down, low goes up, low strengthens from Gulf. Low produces warm air. We get warm air riding in from the south here. We get cold air wanting to hold its ground from the north. So we've got hot and cold here, and that essentially creates an Arctic layer of cold at the surface and a warm layer for much of the rest of the surface. I mean, this is the 1,000 to 500 millibar thickness, so it's really on the GFS, and it's really not picking up on the idea that we're going to be talking about colder air at the surface, which could change it immediately over to snow, or it could change it to those super cold freezing rain pellets. And essentially, what I'm worried about here is timing is kind of undetermined, but what looks to be happening is, give or take up to 24 hours on the time. Is like, whoa, 24 hours? Yeah, but the models aren't picking up on it. We're basically going to get isentropic warming and cooling here across this area. Looks like snow to the north, but the questionable is in here. Looks like rain in here. In the questionable area, you're like, Nick, that's not questionable, that's rain. Like, the thing is, these models don't pick up on the Arctic air in place, number one. Number two, what's steering the storm? High over low, then it becomes low over high. But you gotta admit, it takes as long as the low takes over to the high for the low to track north. So what you see here, and you see GFS brings it up like on a track. Well, GFS track is something like this, right? Okay, but That's because the high pressure system at the start is right here when it's developing and bombing. But you got the high pressure's over here, then it goes back around. It takes longer to come up here, and it ends up being a storm that tracks further south because it doesn't have enough time to go way up over the high. Hope that made sense. And you know what? The high pressure, the determinant, guess what the models aren't picking up on with that high? The models do not pick up on the high pressure. And that is the reoccurring theme, that the models aren't picking up on the high pressure. They don't know where it's going to set up. They won't until 48 hours or so before the storm. And that's the deal. Okay? And yeah, that's the deal here. The models are just going to flip-flop amongst each other, amongst each run. It's just going to be that way until the models can figure out the high pressure. And by the way, I think the models are going to be a little too warm for this storm. Alright, done for now. Have a great day.